listeners? Hope everybody's doing well. It's been a little bit of a while since my last podcast. I have a lot going on, which is always a good thing. I'll never complain about being busy. So I wanted to get one out, and I actually wanted to do a JTP Chat session. Lately, I've been enjoying that kind of style a little bit. Allows me the freedom of inserting my opinion on things and views, and to kind of connect with the audience. I don't know, I'm just kind of enjoying that segment that I introduced. So I'm going to stick with it with a little bit. For those that are new to the channel, I try to incorporate two different segments where you have the Justice Tech Pros podcast. I believe that's up to episode 104. And on that podcast, I try to pick specific topics and then analyze and explore the topic and give the viewers my interpretation of various things and my insight as it relates to particular topics tied to the criminal justice system. On the JTP Chat session, it's more laid back where I'm just kind of winging it, shooting from the hip, whatever thoughts pop in my mind, whatever things I wanted to kind of touch on, I do it in this setting. And to be honest, I like the background here a lot better. It's more relaxed, and I'm pleased with the way it came out. So today, same type of thing, folks. I think this is chat session 5, maybe. I'm not sure. Could be 5 or 6. I don't remember. But either way, I'm going to go along the same lines I normally do. And there's a few things I wanted to kind of talk about. They weren't pressing. That's why I really just haven't got to do an episode. Just things that popped in my head that I wanted to talk about. Usually when I'm up late at night, if I have trouble sleeping, that's when I'll catch up on things I'm interested on YouTube. I'll catch up on my, there's one podcast I really like. It's called Dogumentary TV. They spotlight all different breeds. They started doing lives. I'm enjoying that. I'll bounce around in different genres, see what's going on. And obviously, which is the norm, my office always downloads whatever episode a lying informant may be on, if they're on somebody's show or they're doing their own. So I'll review those from time to time. If the point person I have assigned to that is watching it, they always give me a heads up if it's anything I need to be aware of. I'll review what they may identify that's important and go from there, go through the proper channels to see what we could do to put it to use and possibly help defendants that were lied upon. So that's always moving along. And on that end, as you know, I got different projects coming out on the We Push Back front. I really like the idea that I showed a little segment where I'm going to have the lying informants, with the use of technology, read and recreate a lot of the comments that they left, a lot of the interaction that they do on YouTube. And I showed a little segment of how that's going to look, a little portion of how that's going to look using the informant John Rubio. That was on one of the last little projects done on the We Push Back channel. So I think that'll be an engaging segment of the website. That's going to be on the website. I'm going to make a separate header for it. And it's basically going to be showing how these lying informants interact online in their own words. Going to be reading their comments, maybe clips of things they said. I think that'll give a good look from the outside potential juror or just even members of the public to see how these guys conduct themselves, how they behave, because that's a representation of what you're dealing with. You want to see what this person is all about. After all, the only experience they've had with any of these people is if they happen to be a juror, they'd see them on the stand, or when they're prepped by the government or their handler on how to speak and how to behave, or if they're doing like a big interview on like those Vlad TVs. You ever notice they always try to focus on their speech, words they say, and on their behavior. But when you start catching them in their own element, you know, in their own environment, you really see what their behavior, what their character, and what they're capable of. And that's actually the word that kind of popped into my head when I was seeing recent things going on YouTube in different genres. For me, it has to do with what somebody's capable of, right? That's very important. And I'm going to dive into that because for me, that has a lot to do with the rationale of how I deal with certain individuals when you see what they're capable of. And the only way you could really gauge that is with time. As time goes by, people get comfortable, they may drop their guard, they may say things, they may behave in a manner where they're not trying to keep a handle on that behavior so tightly. They get comfortable. They forget maybe who they're trying to be online. If they're a fake person, they put on this fake persona. You can't be fake all the time. Eventually it's going to slip up. So when that cloak, so to speak, falls down, that's what I look for. I try to look for, what do people do when their back's against the wall? Maybe they're fighting with somebody. How do they fight with somebody? And that's when I start to really analyze. Let's just say I'm looking to build a friendship. That's where I start to analyze, is this somebody I want to be friends with? Is this somebody, even forget friendship, even somebody to associate with? It really has to do with what they're capable of. So me, I'm a big action guy. I try to see what they do, how they respond, what behaviors they demonstrate when they're mad, whatever, when something doesn't go their way. And that's really what I look into. And that's why for me, people will be like, oh, forgive this, you don't forgive that. No, I'm not a forgiving person. I'm really not. Because for me, I don't look so much at the action. Don't get me wrong, the action's way into it. But I look to what somebody's capable of. So if I see somebody's capable of certain things, talking degenerate, behaving really like a lowlife, saying really degenerate, lowlife things, that's what makes my mind up as to how I conclude about that individual and what I think about that individual and if I want anything to do with that individual. And when I see degenerate behavior take place, I don't care if it was 1 time, 10 times, that tells me what somebody's capable of. Okay, so once I know what you're capable of, that gives me what I need on the inside to know how to proceed. I was always taught, as long as you know what you're dealing with, you can't get hurt. And that's the truth. Once you know what's in front of you, what the person's in front of you, if you decide, say, to move forward with somebody who has those type of capabilities, well, then you can't complain, because any adverse effect of that, or response or actions that take place that are negative, you bring that on yourself by associating with somebody who is capable of such things. And that's why it's important to really understand what somebody's capable of. And you'll get a view of that when they're fighting with somebody, when something don't go their way. You'll see what they really have the ability to do. Who puts up old text messages? Who talks about private conversations? Who goes to the cops? I don't know. On here, there's so many crazy things. Who reports people? Who has other people do their fighting? See, and I think that's why a lot of the times the opposition tries to say that I pay trolls and I have people do my bidding, because that's what they're doing. It's very clear that's what they're doing. With me, it's all accusations. And again, I'm at this 4 years, over 2 years, we push back. Not one person, not one quote-unquote troll came and said, Dominic told me to do this. Dominic is organizing us. He's telling us to attack this one. Never once happened. Never had one conversation along those lines. Now, people could think opposite. They're entitled to. But my whole thing is, just prove it, You're throwing out a lot of accusations. You should prove it. And I'm noticing lately, which gives me a lot of satisfaction, I'm not going to lie, a lot of these enablers cannot handle that we push back is growing despite their best efforts to discredit it, to cripple it, to minimize it. They have no impact, no effect. It's just growing, it's enhancing, and it's more people are being exposed to it. And I'm not talking about the YouTube nonsense where, the enablers, the informants, they think they have this kind of voice. They really don't. It's a small segment of the internet. A lot of the people who have even contacted me for We Push Back didn't really come so much through YouTube. It had to come through the advertising I did and the SEO within Google to have the website come up. Don't get me wrong, I had a lot of people reach out, but that's not really the main funnel of exposing We Push Back to the public. YouTube's a tiny segment of that. So really, anything they try to do on YouTube to discredit it, it's really fallen on deaf ears, because not one person even brought any of that up to me. Not one person on the outside of the ridiculous YouTube universe even came to me and said, oh, Dominic, I heard this, I heard that about We Push Back. Not one. It's all been positive for those who align with it. Obviously, if they don't align with it, they're going to bash it, but they never really bring up any of the YouTube conspiracy theories about paying trolls, having people attacked. I heard comments about opening my wallet to pay this one. You know, a lot of these people don't understand. When you're dealing with people with character, it doesn't matter if you have a big wallet, because that doesn't influence. They're going to deal with you based on the person you are. And the relationships I build with people, it has nothing to do with money. It has to do with the person we both are if we decide to go forward with one another. I know people who try to use me giving a donation or a gesture of appreciation as paying somebody, but that's not how it's defined. So even in the legal terms of it, it's not defined that way as far as me paying anybody to do anything. Many times I'll give a show a few dollars if I appreciate the content, if I think it's something that the public needs to hear. That's how I show my support. That's how I show a gesture of appreciation. I had one content creator not too long ago. He was saying all incorrect information about We Push Back, so I hopped on. It's a UK content creator. I hopped on. I thought we had a pleasant discussion, and after that, I sent him a token of appreciation. I believe the guy was on some hard times. I figured that could help him out. Just a gesture of, and that's just how I do things. It's a gesture of gratitude. You gave me an opportunity, and this is how I could thank you, and I appreciate it. It's just how I show my gratitude in ways I can. I do it in different ways for different people. If I share channels, it's always a gesture of appreciation and respect. Now, unfortunately, with that content creator, from what I understand, after that day, it's been nothing but a bash on We Push Back. So, I mean, that's how it goes. You know, that'll be the end of my engagement with that person. You know, that's how I do things, folks. I don't come on here. I don't vet my grievances. I don't say, well, this guy's what I think of this guy, what I think of that guy. I'm kind of over that. It's not that important to me. Once I see somebody is just not for me, that's it. They're not for me. I disengage and move on. There's so many channels, so many personalities on here. I'd much rather spend my time with people who are potentially really interested. And see, that's the key. If somebody is ignorant, and I'm not saying it to be insulting, I just mean they're ignorant on what We Push Back is or what I'm about. I'm all about having a conversation, even if we're on opposite sides of it. I'll have a conversation, I'll talk about it. But you're dealing with different types of people here. They're not looking for a conversation, a real conversation. They're looking to attack. They're looking to make up lies. And you can't really defend against lies. It's your word against mine, right? So we'll go back and forth all day. You did this. No, I didn't. You did that. So it's a waste of time. For me, I'd rather associate with and be with people who are open-minded, logical, rational, even if we don't agree with certain things. If I get the inclination that they are legitimately inquisitive, for me, it's worth my time. That's how I gauge it. Once I see somebody attacking or I see somebody spreading false narratives saying We Push Back is a bunch of trolls, and you could say whatever you want. But the facts are, label people trolls, label them not trolls. There's a lot of people, human beings, that are in favor of We Push Back. And that's just the facts. And there's a lot of people who are against it. And that's just the facts. I don't get upset if somebody's against it. That's their right to be against it. That's totally fine. I don't say everybody should be for it. Everybody's different. They'll look at it at different views. You know, I'm sure a lot of people look at it like, oh, he's just a gangster's son. That's why he's doing this and he wants to get revenge. They can think whatever they want. My material, my documents, my information speaks for itself. The work I'm doing now with families, with defense teams, that's going to speak for itself. We Push Back is becoming exactly what I had planned for it. And it had nothing to do with YouTube. YouTube was the stepping stone. I actually got the idea from YouTube. And then it went from there and it developed and it evolved. And it's really not about YouTube. It never was. All it was a stepping stone. It was just the genesis of putting it together. But the idea behind it, nothing really to do with YouTube. It's very simplistic. It's about there's informants who go on the stand, they lie to get a deal, avoid accountability, and then they reinvent themselves on YouTube telling those lies, spreading those lies, bashing people. And I decided, well, I'm not going to sit back and do nothing about it. And there's people in different ways throughout the years who said, oh, I'm going to do something about it. I don't like this guy lying about my family. I don't like that. And that's a beautiful thing. You know, people, I made a statement not too long ago about me not competing with anybody because I saw a lot of these content creators. And the funny part is some of them were like informant enablers. And they're trying to act like we're the number one rat hater. I don't give a shit. Do whatever you want. As far as I'm concerned, once I see you have a rat on your show, that's the end of that. You're not that serious about it. You may do a couple good episodes that are valuable episodes, and God bless. That's a good thing. But when I'm analyzing somebody, I'm trying to see what's at their core. I don't want the people who do things for the moment or do things for the popularity of it. And a lot of people are going that way, especially now, which I'm very happy that Joey Merlino started a podcast. This is somebody who just believes certain things, who has a certain way, and he and I align on the majority of all those beliefs. So, you could build a friendship when there's a synergy like that, a core values like that. That's very important. And the guy's a gentleman. I have nothing but good things to say about him. And once he came on, look what happened, right? You had a lot of the informants attacking him, trying to get recognition off his name. You have a lot of these flip-flopping, lying informant enablers that they were interviewing probably every single informant that's been on YouTube from day one. Then when the Skinny podcast came around, now they want to act like, oh, we don't like informants, which is fine. That's great. For me, those aren't my type of people. I recognize what it is. It's what's popular now. It's not something they truly believe. Because if you truly believe in something, nobody or nothing is going to sway it. Nobody's going to influence. It doesn't matter if there's 100 people who believe what you believe or 0, because those are your beliefs. So it doesn't matter. You don't take solace in numbers. At least that's how I feel. I look at it more like, this is what I believe. It's going to be interesting to see as I navigate YouTube who falls in line with similar beliefs as myself. Out in the real world, when you build relationships, that just comes naturally. You gravitate to people who have a lot in common, maybe come from same backgrounds. You build friendships and go along. On YouTube, virtual setting, it's different. Time needs to go by. You need to see what people do, who they associate with, whose chats they're in. When people are getting bashed, are they participating? Do they have wrenches in those chats? Are they associating with people that I've seen do degenerate things in the past and now acting as if everything's okay? Those are all elements for me personally to decide, if somebody reaches out to me and is looking to build a friendship. These are things I kind of weigh in to decide if it's even worth it. And then there's some people, listen, there's nothing in common there. So you do your thing, I do my thing. There's no hard feelings. We just go our separate ways. People on YouTube take that too personally. If you want to do your own thing and you want nothing to do with them, they take it personally. They start attacking you. Their feelings get hurt. I don't know. For me, random people on the internet can't really hurt my feelings like that. Let me take a drink. So I don't really get it when people get so nasty just because somebody wants to kind of break away from them, but that's what happens. For me, I sit back, I'll engage. People have noticed I go on less and less shows now, because now once you get familiar with the genre and you understand different players, and there's things you just don't want to be around. You don't want to be on certain shows where an informant may jump in the chat or an enabler is on the panel. For me, I'm talking about for me. So I weigh all those things before I decide to engage. And in one specific genre, it's like a landmine. But I spoke about this before. Everywhere else on YouTube, you don't got to worry about that stuff. But in one genre, where they're talking about organized crime stuff and people are infatuated with that, for me personally, I have to be in tune, because there's just way too many individuals that I just want nothing to do with. And I'm sure they want nothing to do with me. I'm sure it's a two-way street. But the difference with me, and I notice a lot of these people, they'll say they want nothing to do with somebody, right? And then a week later, they got them on their show, they're wrenching their chat, they're mixing it up. So that I don't get. I'm very clear-cut. If I say I want nothing to do with somebody, I just don't want anything to do with them. You're not going to see me in their chat. You're not going to see me having back conversations with them. And that's another thing I stopped over a year ago. I spoke about this. I treated YouTube, I made one mistake with YouTube. See, I was used to like LinkedIn and more professionals and networking and talking with people and building professional relationships with logical, rational people. And I got that experience on LinkedIn and I enjoyed it. I actually run a pretty big group on LinkedIn. It's for all business owners in Westchester County. So we all interact. It's all virtual, though. I don't set up events. It's a networking group of virtually. And then people could set up one-on-ones, which I've done, where you go meet with somebody that's specific. But my point just is I always had a pleasant experience with that. YouTube, I made the mistake of thinking the same element was kind of along those lines. I was doing criminal justice and things like that on my podcast, and I thought I would get a different type of audience, and that didn't happen. You got to mix. So I made a little bit of a mistake of, by nature, I'm very cordial. I try to be respectful. I always try to give people the benefit of the doubt. I start off very respectfully, and then I see what they're about. And I see if I'm not getting it in return, then everything stops. Then they see the other side of me and can't be bothered. And I noticed that happened a lot with people on YouTube. They would start out trying to be nice, telling me they believed one thing, swearing they believed one thing. And then as time went by, actions were completely opposite. People they dealt with completely opposite of what they said they would deal with. I mean, so I couldn't relate to it. So that was the only mistake I made at the beginning, but I rectified that. Now, I made a few friendships. I'm building a couple friendships, and that's it. I'm done. That's all there is. I'll stick with my LinkedIn as far as building network and engaging with people and having meetings. I'll stick with LinkedIn. But on the other note of that, folks, I've met a ton of great people, a ton of phenomenal supporters. I'm grateful for every one of them. And that's the thing. We could support each other. We could appreciate the material, but there's no reason for a kumbaya love fest, in my opinion. Some personalities just don't mix. It doesn't need to be so passionate all the time. That's one thing I notice. Me and my friends always talk about that. People get very passionate. They meet somebody within an hour. They love them. They're the best thing ever, best person. They're at the house hanging out. I'm not like that. Completely opposite. I need a lot of time to understand what somebody's about, to feel comfortable. That's just in my nature. I don't just put my arm around somebody and instantly bond and have this budding friendship. Those things got to be built, and sometimes you try building one, and you realize as time goes by, you're just too different, and you end it. And that's really how I navigate it. So, I wanted to kind of just kick that around. Those were all thoughts on my head and how I do things and how I see things. And listen, God bless. People, people could let things go. People could associate with certain people. Hey, God bless, that's your thing, but that's not my thing. I'd rather be by myself on an island alone than associate with certain characters that I see in certain traits, especially when you see past behavior. People talking about females, about somebody's daughter, somebody's wife, somebody's mother, somebody's grandmother, degenerate sexual comments, lies that they're going to make up about these people, actually saying they're going to lie about these people, set people up. Once, and it goes back to what I said earlier, folks, when I see what you're capable of, then I know how to move. Then I know what, if any, dealings I want to have with you. And on YouTube, it's not many. Once you see what people are capable of, it's not many, for me, that I want to deal with. The other thing I wanted to address, because I keep, one good thing, I want to thank everybody. In the past, people used to send me stuff of like if an enabler was saying something on this show, trying to abuse me. All my friends stopped doing that, and even the viewers stopped doing that. I really appreciate that. They realize I just don't care. Because the truth, folks, they could talk about me every day. I understand a lot of them are really going at we push back, and for me, that puts a smile on my face. I'm not going to lie. The more they bring it up, the more they abuse it, that tells me I'm doing the right thing, and it goes back to the caliber of person. So when that caliber of person is abusing something that I feel strongly about, that's a win. That tells me I'm exactly where I need to be, because that level of individual doesn't like what I'm doing. That's a home run. That's exactly what it's supposed to be. So when I hear them abusing it, knocking it, that puts a smile on my face. So keep doing it. Keep bringing it up. Keep talking about it. Keep mentioning we push back. All of that helps me do what I want to do. So I have no problem with any of it. As far as I'm concerned, they should do nothing but abuse me and bash it. This is completely opposite of everything they represent. These enablers, one little short enabler, he does a host. He hosts a lot of these informants. I heard him saying, let me get a drink. somebody sent me a clip of him saying, what did he say? Something like, We Push Back ruined the mob genre. I don't think it did, but hey, music to my ears if that's what it did. Music to my ears. I couldn't give a crap about that stupid genre. For me, I don't want these informants to stop talking. I know everybody thinks that. A lot of people are like, I don't want them to shut up. Keep talking. Keep talking. Keep telling your stories. Keep telling your lies and keep showing the public your behavior. Keep attacking people. Keep cursing. Keep talking degenerate. Keep talking tough. Yes, that's exactly what I want to keep happening. So, I mean, again, music to my ears. Music to the defendants that these guys lied upon, that these guys attacked and insulted. Music to their ears as well and their families. Because all of these things could be used in time, as time goes by, to set the tone. All these things could be used. And at the very least, potential jurors could go to wepushback.com and see exactly what they're about. So if they are faced with an informant, they're going to take their time and think about it. They're going to analyze their character. They're not just going to believe everything they say and take it as gospel. They're going to reflect. And that's all I want them to do is reflect on what's going on, what they're seeing in front of them, and the person that's in front of them. Is that really the type of character that this person is 24/7? Those are questions they got to ask themselves. So when all these informants, their enablers, those who host them, when they're bashing me, they're saying insulting things about me, they're saying insulting things about We Push Back, that's a win for me. As sadistic and twisted as it sounds, that's a win for me. That gives me solace. That tells me you're on the right track. Keep doing what you're doing. And it also motivates me to work harder, put out more information, and come up with more projects. And that's actually how I came up with the project of wanting to have the lying informants read their comments using AI. Because I saw one of these informants talking a lot of smack, saying a lot of things about me personally and whatnot. And so I said, okay, I don't respond by fighting back with you. I'll show you how I'm going to respond. I'm going to show your words. Let the public see your words. Keep talking tough. Keep talking like you're still a gangster, quote unquote. Keep talking as if you intimidate people. You have any power whatsoever. Keep doing it. Keep doing it. And the same with the enablers. See, I want the public to see all of my opponents. That helps me. And that's another thing I'm going to do when time permits. I'm going to do a compilation video of all these enablers. And I'm going to show all the different, and every single enabler I could think of, I'm going to show. So they're all going to flip out when I put it up. I'm sure especially the ones who think that they're rat bashers now. I'm going to show everything they've done from the beginning to now. Everybody they put on. And different segments and clips of different things that these informants said on their show, on their watch, the people they abused. I'm going to show it. I'm going to timestamp it. And I'm going to show the chain of events. You know why? I want the public to see the character of the individuals abusing myself and abusing the We Push Back movement. See, that's what's important. I'm going to give you a quick story. You have to, and I mentioned this a while back. A while back, I had some content creator. Every day he was posting something on his community tab, posting stuff about my dad, posting stuff about me, again, with all the lies, saying I pay people this and that. You know what I did? I did 2 videos to memorialize the facts, and I do that for different reasons, to protect myself in case something develops out of it. And the other thing I did was I got every bit of information I could on this person. Went to the courthouse, paid a court runner, got their court files, got everything. You know why I did that? So when the day comes where somebody says, oh, we came across this channel and they're saying this, this, and this about you. You know what I do? Yeah, they are. I want you to read about this individual. And I want you to compare characters. And you tell me that character versus my character. And that ends that story. And that came up once. This same creator was actually emailing and Twitter messaging an attorney that I'm friendly with, trying to badmouth me and this and that. And the attorney reached out to me and was like, what's this guy's problem? I explained a little bit about this character's background, things they were convicted of, things that they've done, behaviors they've done. And that was the end of that discussion. Not more to talk about. That's why it's important to know your opposition. Now, I'm not like these other people. I want to know it to put it on the internet, to frickin' put everybody's, those BS reports. What is it, like True Report, whatever the hell it is? Put that up. I don't want it for that stupid clown shit. Okay, that's like half a rap move. You're putting people's addresses out. You're telling them to go to their, whatever the purpose of that is. That's not why I do it. I do it for my own personal file to protect myself and defend myself. And I advise people, I advised my friends who may have podcasts, I advise them the same thing. Because it's just good to have for yourself. Hopefully you never have to use it. It's like insurance. You want to have it and you never have to use it. It's just for yourself. And that's the key. You want to always protect yourself and memorialize things. So, like right now, there's a lot of lies going on about me paying. I don't care. I already memorialized that a while ago, that I don't do that. And so it doesn't matter to me. I'm not going to keep saying it. I said it once and that's it. I'm not going to go back and forth. Let them say what they want. Let them say I open my wallet. I heard somebody saying I pay Joey Merlino. Like that guy needs my money. We don't need each other's money. We're okay. We're okay. We're friends. We do what we do because we have a friendship. We help each other out in the way that we're able to. That's what it's about. Okay? That's probably how their friendships work. It's all about money and what you could get out of people. Friends in life don't work that way. For me, I don't want people around me that are about money, that try to throw money around, pay people. That's not what I'm about. If you got to pay somebody to do what you want to do, you're a coward. Okay? So I don't pay people to do what I would want to do. I do what I want to do myself. If I help somebody, if I donate, it's because that's what I want to do out of my, just that I want to do. And I don't expect a quid pro quo, okay? I don't want anything in return. And again, show me one message or anything where I asked anybody in 2.5 years, 4 years, however long I've been on YouTube, for one thing in return, one favor in return. Won't be able to find it. That's not what it's about. But that's why, I'm kind of done responding to things that come up and I really don't care anymore. At the beginning, I would try to do it because I'm building We Push Back and I want to memorialize these things. Don't get me wrong, something significant. If a significant accusation comes out that's, again, wrong, I will memorialize it. And there's a few that are coming close to that. And then I'll just memorialize it and move on. It's not a big deal. I'll just put up what they say. I'll put up my version. And then it's up to the public to decide what's true and what's not. And you want to know the truth, folks? I couldn't care. I'm not here to impress nobody. I'm not here to get popular. I'm here to put out information. I found supporters, followers, subscribers, people, whatever you want to label, who align with what I say and what I put out, and that's awesome. So I just keep going along that road, and I'll keep doing those things. The other thing I wanted to address is I noticed comments. Somebody made a comment on my page and I responded to it. People like to make their own facts and make up their own stories, so I'm going to clarify a few things. Everybody keeps talking about how the author of Guilt for the Guiltless, Lisa Babick, retracted her statement on John Panisi beating up his girlfriend. Okay, that's great. That has nothing to do with me. She's entitled to do that. But it's almost as if they're pointing it off as if this author was the one who even came up with those allegations. So she retracted it, so therefore it's null and void. But that's not the case. They're not understanding something very simple. The author grabbed that information from documents I had sent, court documents, information, and then she came up with her own conclusion, and then as time went by, she decided to change that. And there's nothing wrong in that. But that has nothing to do with me. People keep almost insinuating, well, she retracted it, so you need to retract it. Absolutely not. Two different views on the topic. A lot of people could look at the same topic and conclude differently. As a matter of fact, I put a video of exactly why I conclude the way I do on my channel. It lays everything out. Those are all the facts. It didn't come from an article that was written by this author. It didn't come from the article. It came from court documents. Okay? So I'm not understanding that correlation where they're saying she retracted, you should retract. No. It's two different opinions. She changed her opinion. I didn't change mine. After everything I read, digested, things I know, conversations I have had, I believe he punched a few teeth out. He burnt her hair. He was abusive. He was controlling. And that's my conclusion. I don't give a shit who agrees with it, who don't, who wants to say this one retracted, who don't. Then another commenter trying to say, well, I think because on another podcast channel, this individual also gave his conclusion that he felt he knocked her teeth out, all of her teeth out. Somebody was like, oh, he didn't knock all of her teeth out. Now, he was just using just a lingo, just what he was saying. But I noticed, again, they were saying, oh, it's the way Dominic explained it to him. He probably explained it wrong. Well, genius. You have no idea how I explained anything to anybody. And I see what you're insinuating. You're trying to insinuate that behind the scenes, I'm explaining something different. I'm saying, oh, he knocked her teeth out. Say he knocked her teeth out. You're 100% wrong. You're lying and you're spreading lies about something you don't know, about a conversation you don't even know. Everything I present to everybody, my friends, this and that, you guys see what I'm presenting. It's in the video, showing the court records, showing the transcripts. That's what I present. So and I'm not that influential, folks. If I tell somebody, oh, he did this, they're not going to say without questioning it, oh, that's what he did? Well, I'm going to repeat it. They're going to look into it. They're going to question it. So again, it's just people looking to blame me for others' conclusions. I guess they're very sensitive when it comes to informant John Panisi being labeled a woman abuser. Well, I'm in favor of his ex-girlfriend who got abused. So yeah, I'm going to defend that, and I'm going to conclude based on what I know to take place and what I've absorbed informational-wise and what I've absorbed on conversations. That's who I align with. I align with the victim in this. And yes, 100% she was abused. Verbally, controlling, physically, however you want to say it. Was in an abusive relationship. That's the bottom line. Don't care who believes it, don't care who don't. But when they try to say that I'm behind the scenes, like telling people certain things a certain way, it just goes to show me what they're all about too. Go show what they're all about. Everything I have to say, I say it publicly and I say it privately. I'll voice my personal opinions privately to my friends, and they'll know my personal opinions, and they'll voice theirs. But I just wanted to get that clear. The author retracting her initial conclusion has nothing to do with me. As a matter of fact, when the author emailed me to retract it on the website, or website I built, I said absolutely not, because I don't agree with that. But I did tell her, retract it on your website, retract it on your channel. So everybody who wants to read about it, they could see, oh, the author retracted it. Well, I didn't retract it based on the author's conclusion. I retracted it based on still having the same amount of information that I had when I initially drew that determination. So I'm not retracting anything. As far as I'm concerned, again, yes, he's a domestic abuser. That's how I see it. Don't care who likes it, who don't like it. Don't care who wants retractions, who don't want retractions. They could go talking about that till the cows come home. It means nothing to me. It's irrelevant to me. On WePushBack.com, on the We Push Back YouTube channel, my video stands on its own. There's my conclusion. Others may conclude differently, as they're entitled to. That's the difference between me and everybody else. A lot of people are so convinced to say, oh, this one retracted, you should retract. No, I don't change my opinion on a whim. I go by the facts. I go by what I finally determined. And everybody's entitled to do the same. I don't force anybody to say, no, he beat her, he's a domestic abuser. No, believe what you want. I'm going to believe what I want. And that's it. So I wanted to get that out of the way because I keep seeing that pop up and people are panning it off as if it negates court records and documents and transcripts and the victim being in the front row looking to testify at a trial about being domestically abused. So they act as if a retraction negates all that. No, maybe in your mind it does. That's fine. That's fine. Nobody's telling you not to. Believe what you want, but don't tell me to retract anything. I'm not retracting shit. That's the bottom line. If I mess up, of course I'll retract some. In my opinion, did not change. Nothing changed. As a matter of fact, things I found out only reassured me that he was a big domestic abuser. So I'm fine with that. I'm fine with that. And like I said, folks, anybody with common sense, ask yourself this one question. This was the most detrimental action in my eyes that kind of told me this woman was abused. When the defense team in that first trial wanted to put the woman on the stand, I feel if he didn't domestically abuse her, the first thing the prosecutor should have did was say, yeah, put her up on the stand. They would have tore her apart. They would have shown, and if anything, that would have enhanced their case, because now they're going to show, look, people are lying about my client, trying to say he's a woman beater, and he's not. It would have enhanced his credibility. It would have enhanced everything. They wouldn't have just dropped that and let it go and fought so much not to have her as a witness, fought to keep her out. And that's a huge point in my concluding the way I have. That's a huge factor. Not the only factor. There's a lot of other things, but that's one of the biggest ones. And that's my train of thought on it. Again, don't care anybody else's train of thought. Everybody's entitled to whatever you want to think. And I don't try to force people to think the way I am. I explain my rationale. And if people agree with it, great. If they don't, equally as great. So I wanted to really dive into that because, again, I've seen that going on a lot. I also wanted to talk about, I'm going to do a chat session with a dear friend of mine coming up. Not sure when. But I'm looking forward to that because I don't do interviews like that. You know, even the people I've had on, I have experts on. I don't really interview them. I just try to have a chat. This is a dear friend of mine. We grew up with each other our whole lives. And he's also experienced. He's been impacted by lying informants. His family has. And so we're going to talk about that, about his experience. And we'll probably talk about different things going on in YouTube related to that as far as the lying informants. I think it'll be a good discussion. I think the chat will enjoy hearing two friends just talk about, and again, this is a dear friend, somebody I grew up with. So we know each other very well. And I think you guys will enjoy that discussion, and it will be good to also hear somebody else's side of being infected by. And one of these lying informants was on YouTube doing their nonsense, so it will be good to hear somebody's perspective about some of the things that informant had to say. I think you guys will enjoy that. And I'm trying to think if there's anything else I really wanted to kick around. I mean, that was really it. It was just a chat session. I really just wanted to talk about those two things. Good things are going to be coming our way. I don't like to divulge too much. But as I told you, there's different associations brewing that are kind of going to come to light. There's going to be more interaction between myself and different podcasts that may have popped up or may be popping up. May have a few conversations that I think the public's going to enjoy. So yeah, there's a lot of things planned as far as wepushback.com. Continuing to do my thing. And I want to thank everybody, the supporters, the content creators, for mentioning it, for hashtagging it, for putting the website out, getting a lot of traffic, ton of traffic, getting more followers, more subscribers, all great. The exposure is really coming to be. I'm going to be starting, I spoke about that Hulu campaign a while ago, and for the price, it's pretty good, and you'll see a little spot for wepushback.com on Hulu for people who watch Hulu, so I'm putting that together. I'm looking at putting something into there's a Westchester Bar Association magazine. I'm going to put an ad in there. There's a Westchester magazine, I'm putting an ad in there. I want to do a lot of local things as well. Bring people in New York and Westchester, Bronx, Brooklyn, Staten Island, really bring We Push Back to their attention as well. Because on YouTube, you know, you can't really segment it. You're all over the world. So I want to do a lot of things that are more isolated and along those grounds, so people locally start to really understand it and start to go from there. As far as giveaways, I think I'm done with the giveaways. The only other thing I may do is I may make limited edition hats for certain content creators and actually friends of mine and dear people dear to me that believe how I do. You know, are very strict in what I do. They don't deal with the enablers. They don't deal with them in the chats. So I'm going to have a limited supply of those. I'm going to give to certain people. I think that'll be pretty cool. I'm going to make them white. I'm having a graphic designer work on a cool limited edition logo. So I think that'll be cool. And it'll be nice, you know, for those of us who are very pure. We have a high level of purity when we say we don't deal with informants and those who enable them. I think it'll be a nice gesture for those of us who have really a core value in common, you know. Other than that, folks, I think that's it. I think the next episode will probably be the conversation with my friend. Again, I just got to set that up, and I think you guys will enjoy that. So don't forget to keep hashtagging We Push Back if you believe in it, if you align with it. If you don't worry about it, obviously. Keep spreading the word. Recommend everybody's channel who's doing the same thing, the Skinny Podcast, Cane Shades, Mob Rats Exposed, Assassinino, Lying Informants and their enablers. All the channels that kind of do the same thing, where we're kind of on the same path, we have the same ideologies, and we want certain things brought to light. You got to support those channels, folks. You got to really support those channels if you believe in it, if it's important to you, and if you think it's important for the justice system and for the public to be aware of. Get those channels out there. You know, it's good to see the different perspectives, the different styles, and the different people kind of talking about the same thing. That's why to me, Joey was a breath of fresh air to come in and to start up. You got somebody who's not putting on a facade, not somebody who says one thing, does another, not somebody who's going to allow rats in their chat, not somebody who's going to allow enablers on their show. You know, that's a breath of fresh air for me. It's a breath of fresh air. So I support things like that as much as I can and in any way I can. And whoever don't like it, too bad. Too bad. But there's a lot more coming. I'm going to be using a lot of my resources, a lot of my abilities to really start pushing this thing, promoting this thing. Especially now I got a little more time on my hands. As I mentioned, November 1st, the appeal went in for the final part of the brief. The appeal initially went in months ago, but the final part of the brief where there's nothing left to really do, that went in November 1st, and now we just sit and wait. Yeah, we all feel great about it, but folks, you have to be a realist, and I'm always a realist, and the reality is it's up to those 3 judges. That's it. There's nothing we can do to influence them. They're going to read it, they're going to apply it to the law, and we go from there. So now we sit and wait. They could invite us in, the attorneys in to argue. They may have certain things they may have questions on, or they could rule right on the brief, and that's it. You don't know. And as far as time frame, you don't know. I've seen some appeals 4 months, 18 months. You just don't know. So we'll wait and see. I'm prepared for a little bit of time because it's very in-depth. I'm thinking about a year. So we'll see. We'll see how it goes. But with that, I'll be free to focus on certain projects. And the one I want to focus on is really giving legs to We Push Back as far as being a dynamic website. I spoke about this. I'm going to give out codes and access to certain people that I know or I meet who want to devote a page to maybe a lying informant that affected them, that perhaps isn't on the page. And that's the key to this. I want to make it organic where the public could grow it. So any informant that lied on them, lied on their family, they'll be able to populate it and put information in. So that's one of my goals, but I have to get somebody it's very lengthy. So I'm thinking of bringing somebody on my team, maybe a temp position, just to really get these projects done. Because honestly, folks, 9 out of 10 of them I do myself on the website. I do that all myself, and I just don't have the time. So I may just hire somebody temporarily to come on and do these specific things, such as the informants, reading their comments, courts in session. I have some things planned. I want to start populating a lot of the minutes I have. I had to hold off for a certain reason on some of the minutes for different informants because certain defendants are filing certain things, and I didn't want to impact that at all. So I like for that to play out. But I'm getting closer to that time. I could really start uploading and populating information. And for me, the more people that come out, and there's going to be more people, a few I'm directly in the know about, they're going to come out that have been impacted. They're going to start talking. That's all good. My goal, honestly, would be ideal for me. I'm not on here no more, and people are just doing it. It's not just these informants, because that's all I've seen for years and years, just these informants talking. Now that people are talking back, and those that are infected, people on the other side of the argument, are now giving themselves a voice and are saying things. That's beautiful. It'll be nice 5 years from now if I'm not on YouTube and I turn it on and I see all these families, all these people impacted doing their thing. That's a great thing. in my opinion. It's a great thing for the public to be aware of both sides and then have them conclude. Can't just have one side breathing down your neck. And I think that's why a lot of these informants are getting so rattled. You know, they'll talk about the guy Joey all the time because they see the influence he has. The guy is a social media powerhouse. That's just the facts. I've never seen anybody grow a channel as fast as him. Anybody. In a month and a half to get 30,000 subs, 100,000 views, thousands of likes. You don't think that's destroying these informants? Their ego alone. That's a huge shot to their ego. They came on thinking they're loved. Everybody loves them. Well, maybe that's not the case, folks. You know, a lot of people who are against informants, they're just not on YouTube. You know, so they don't even know what's going on. See, in my world, my friends, my circles, this is a no-brainer. We're all on the same page. We would never hang out with them. We would never hang out with those who platform them. YouTube's a different world. But there's a lot of people who have those ideologies. They're just not on YouTube. That's why I don't really care too much about what takes place on YouTube as far as that goes, as far as popularity. I always know the informants are going to be more popular. I just find it funny now they're shaking a little bit because somebody on the other end of it's making noise. And you could see it bothers them, and they're trying to abuse people. Then they get personal. They talk about people's families. That's what they do, and that's what's important. See, that's what's important. Another good project that would really tell the story from somebody not knowing is to show that chain of events. In other words, show the informants before the Skinny podcast, right? Then show what they had to say after. Show those things, show their behavior, show the jealousy. I don't know. I think those type of things are very important, and I think they open up a lot of eyes. So that'd be another project. There's endless projects when you think about it, different ways of doing things. It's all about the imagination, all about creativity. And I always like coming up with new things, new angles, new ways of demonstrating something to the public, new ways of exhibiting something to the public. I enjoy that. That's why I came up with Courts in Session. Now I'm coming up with the informants reading their own words. I try to do things that are both entertaining, engaging, and educational. Because if something's boring, you're not going to want to be bothered with it. You know? And that's why I know even sometimes my podcasts get boring. But I think those that align, they can relate. And to them, it's not boring because they understand what I'm talking about. They can it's relatable, you know? So that's what I try to do. That's my small part. And I'm going to continue to support the real ones. I'm going to continue to support those that align the same way I align. And I'm going to continue to grow the way I want to grow, roll out different phases of We Push Back the way I want to roll it out. Undistracted, unwavering, in any way, shape, or form. Nothing they do, say, bait, however they choose to bait me, to try to draw me in, none of that's going to work. This train is not stopping. And the advantage of this train is I'm the only one I need to rely on. I don't need to rely on anybody else for it. Everything I want to do, I'm doing. Everything everybody does for me is the biggest welcomed surprise you could imagine. When I see supporters hashtagging and really passionate about it and sharing it, the gratitude I have for that I can never express because I did not expect it. Did not expect it. Even Joey coming on, talking about We Push Back. Tremendous. Couldn't appreciate that more. People dropping links, dropping channels. Tremendous. Couldn't appreciate it more. Unexpected, never asked for it. So I thank each and every one of you. And I thank you for hashtagging it. If you align with it and you believe in it, that's the one thing I do ask. I do ask if you align with it and you believe in it, bring attention to it. Hashtag it. Help future defendants. And when I see that being done, tremendous, folks. Thank you. In all sincerity, thank you. Because that tells me you want to help. You want to help in any way, shape, or form. And whether you believe it's stone cold, don't believe, that's different. Those are different layers. That has more to do with relationships and friendships based on ideologies. But to try to help and support each other, you could help and support people that maybe you're not best friends with, maybe you're not even friends with. I've done that many times. I've supported somebody. Maybe I like their content, but I don't really like the person too much. Maybe they've hosted informants in the past, but they did an episode that I think the public could really benefit from. The public could really see, hey, wait a minute, this is somebody who hosted informants, is also exposing them. So that could also have some power. So the public should see all of that. Now me, the way I handle it, unfortunately, when I see that somebody was capable of hosting them, that's kind of where it dies. You know, it's just, I know it can't go no further because it goes back to I see what somebody's capable of. And it's not right or wrong, folks. Just because somebody may be okay with informants, I'm not demonizing them. These are my beliefs. And maybe my beliefs are friggin' twisted and off the wall and archaic. That could be. I'm not saying my beliefs are right, but they're my beliefs. I don't care who agrees with them. I don't care who calls it elementary. I don't care who calls it immature. It's irrelevant to me. Their opinions are irrelevant. I was telling a friend of mine, a lot of these people voice their opinion on what I do and who I associate with and things I do as if it means something to me. Their opinion means as much to me as me driving to South Harlem, trying to see a guy on the street corner who has a hypodermic needle sticking out of his arm shooting up heroin, me walking over to him and asking him, sir, what do you think about me? Well, can you rate me? Can you judge my character? That's about as much as these people's opinion means to me. Zero. And that's about the regard I hold them into. The same as being on a corner looking for some vagabond with a needle in his arm and asking him his opinion on what I'm doing. It's irrelevant. It's meaningless. It's white noise. Don't care. And that's just the bottom line. I think that aggravates them even more that I just don't care. You know, once I see you're going down a certain route, once I see the insults, once I see that your inquisition or your curiosity is not legitimate, it's more just to poke holes and to damage and to minimize, there's nothing to talk about. There's no need to even make a comment on it. And that's how I proceed. And that's how everybody should proceed, right? You should only deal with people you could kind of relate to in some kind of way, shape, or form. That's how you should really live your life. On YouTube, people tend to do things on YouTube I guess maybe they wouldn't do in the real world. I don't know. I find it hard to believe that a lot of these people in the real world would bring some of these people around their family and friends that they hang out with on YouTube. But maybe I'm wrong. I just find it hard to believe. You know, when I'm building a friendship with somebody, that's somebody that no matter what area, no matter what environment I'm in, they're my friend. And I find it amazing that some of these people choose to align with and build somebody. But listen, hey, teach their own. I'm sure a lot of people abuse people I decide to be friends with. You know, they'll be like, oh, he has a friend who does this, or he's building a friendship with somebody on YouTube who does this. Listen, we all got different meters. That's why I don't judge people. See, that's the difference. That's why I don't come out here and say, oh, you shouldn't be friends with this one. I don't give a shit. I just alter what I'm doing. I don't care. That's your business. Same way it's my business. I explained on the last show. I go by actions. I go by a whole thing a whole formula when I'm deciding what I believe about somebody. I don't just take one portion of that person. Maybe they have some twisted belief system. But if I feel that there's good in them and maybe things could change over time and their eyes could be open to certain things, and I believe at their core they're a good person based on things I've seen, based on how they speak, maybe based on interactions with their family, based on interactions with friends. If I see they're a good person at their core, but they may have crazy beliefs, things I don't align with, that doesn't mean I cut off a friendship. There's still a possibility. Things go by, changes, time goes by. I have different meters. I have different meters of levels of acceptability. And belief system's just one part of that formula. If somebody has something that I'm completely against, but we have so many other things we align with where there is good there, then maybe something could develop. And I say this all the time, folks. Who am I to judge anybody? I don't think my opinion is that important. Look what people could say about me. Oh, his father did this, his brother this, his friends this. People could say that about me all day long. Listen, that's their right to. That's their right to. I'm on no moral horse that I say, well, would I judge if somebody's good, they're good? I have my own personal opinion about what's over the line, what's not over the line, what's acceptable, what's not acceptable. And those are for me. And that's for my own internal compass of how to navigate and how to decide who I associate with and who I don't. But too many times people come on here. Why are you talking to this one? He did this. But yet they're sitting with somebody who did the most degenerate things in the world. That's what I don't understand. They're comparing a hierarchy of who's more degenerate in their eyes. Don't worry about it. Be friends with who you want to be friends with and move on. That's what it should be. I decide what's too much for me and I move on. And you know how I move on? I don't do shows about it. I don't bash maybe past people I knew. I just don't engage with them no more. I don't talk to them no more. I move on. I move on. That's it. It's very simple. On here, it's everybody, a lot of people in different genres, they try, and this isn't just in one genre, like the organized crime nonsense genre. It's not that. I've seen it in a lot of different ones, where they have different sides and they try to convince whose side's better. Listen, folks, I'm not here to convince anybody what side's better, what I think is better. I don't care. There's no sides and all that shit. As far as I'm concerned, I have a way of thinking. I have an alignment of beliefs that I believe in, and I explain that, and I put that out there, and I put material that's in line with those beliefs, and then I found people who could kind of relate to that. And that's it. I associate with people who could relate to that. It's that simple. It's that simple. There's really no sides when you think about it, right? It's just belief systems. Who do you align with? Listen, there's a lot of people who may align with certain beliefs that I have that I don't get along with. So that's not the end all be all. They may be like, oh, we don't like this, we don't like that, and I may agree with it, but I just may not like the person, so we just don't get along. Right? Think about it in your personal life. How many people you just don't like for some reason? You can't put your finger on it. You're like, I just don't like that person. That happens all the time. I'm sure so many people turn on my show. They're like, oh, I can't stand this kid. I can't stand his voice. I can't stand his avatar. I can't stand his graphics. I can't stand what he talks about. I can't stand his family. That's how it goes. I'm more amazed at how people actually get affected by that nonsense and they care who likes them, who don't like them, who they're talking about. That amazes me. That amazes me. That's a lot of insecurity going on. The circles I need don't exist on YouTube. The circles I need in life have nothing to do with YouTube. They're off YouTube. Those are the circles that I'm proud to be around, that I'm proud to have certain people in my circle. That's what matters to me, not YouTube stuff. If I meet somebody on YouTube and we build a friendship, well, guess what? Now they're part of that outside circle. Has nothing to do with YouTube. Doesn't matter. Let me get a drink. Doesn't matter. I don't know why my avatar's lip opens like that when I take a drink. Let's look at that again. That's weird. Wow, looks like I'm pouring the drink in my mouth. That's crazy. But anyway, sorry for that distraction. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I just don't get it. People are so concerned about, well, I want to be with this group or that. I don't need to be in any group. And We Push Back is not a group. People get, oh, it's not a group. It's people, individualists. This is all individual people who came together because they agree with the message and they align with the thought process of the message. That's it. That's it. Now, if you want to call them a group of people who have the same belief system as it relates to that specific topic, such as lying informants being unacceptable, yeah, there's a group of people of that. But there's no meetings, there's no members, and everybody tries to say, oh, this one's still a member. They just want to erase out of their head how I got rid of members. And I said this a million times, folks, I got rid of members because I saw that a lot of the people that were telling me one thing behind the scene, that they don't agree with this, they don't agree with that, that's not really what they were about. And in my head, I'm like, well, this doesn't make any sense. They're telling me they're against these certain things, but then there's informants in the chat, or they're talking on the phone with informants, or they're hanging out with enablers, or they're having people in their chat who are best friends with informants or on their panel. I couldn't wrap my head around that. And I just knew it would not work. And then as time goes by, you find out about members who were like secretly full-blown friends with informants, waving hi to them, having conversations with them, group calls with them. And you're like, what the hell? I mean, so many things came to light where I actually wanted to punch myself in the face for making members. I literally wanted to punch myself right in the face for making members. As time went by and I started seeing certain things for myself and uncovering certain things that went on. And I'm like, why do people lie? Say the truth. Either you believe in something or you don't lie about it. I'd respect you more if you say, hey, Dom, listen, that's too extreme for me. I don't have that hard line. All right, beautiful. Nothing wrong in it. That's the big mistake I made in the beginning, but that was all right. I rectified it within a couple months. It wasn't long. I think it was actually 4 months. So 4 or 5, it wasn't long. And listen, I'm going to make other mistakes as well. When you're going into uncharted territory and you're building something new and unique, you're going to make mistakes. But I'm not worried about it because I'm in charge of those mistakes. I'll same way I worked that out, I'll work this out. And that's when I just realized it will never work with members. Unless it's my friends in real life, this would never work with members. But my friends in real life don't really have channel. One is, I'm trying to get one to start, and two actually to start, and that'll be great. And those are the type of people I'm talking about that would get the limited edition we push back at. You know, the ones who just get it. We don't need to have conversations about, listen, don't deal with this guy. This guy hosts informants. This guy's been hosting informants for the last 2 years. Don't deal with this one. We don't need to have those conversations because we're friends. We're on the same page. It's a no-brainer. It's not even something to think about. This is a way of life. We already know. On YouTube, it's different, you know, and you have to allow for that. That's why I don't, you know, in my personal life, I'm much more vocal about things I believe in. If a friend's doing something I don't agree with, I'm vocal. And I'm like, what the hell are you doing? We don't do that. And if they continue, then maybe we can't be friends. But I'm much more vocal. On YouTube, I can't tell anybody what to do. I'm not going to voice my opinion in those matters. Everybody's got free will. We're not friends where we got to worry about letting each other down. You do whatever you feel's comfortable. And that's what tells me who I'd align with and who I wouldn't. You have to let people do what they're comfortable with. Right? It goes back to what I said earlier. What are you capable of? So when you see they're capable of certain things, if it's not for you, it's not for you. And that's how you find out. But never once would I tell somebody, don't deal with this one. If they're not a friend of mine, somebody I met on YouTube, that's none of my business. Zero to do with me. They deal with who they want to deal with. The way I see things like that, you move how you move and I'll move how I move. You know, sometimes you move a certain way and I'll just move out of your way. You do you. Well, I think I bored you long enough for today. I think I vented long enough. Again, stay tuned, folks. Things are going to be rolling out. This is a marathon, not a sprint. I said that on, I think it was Kane's show. And Kane and Joe Bay 8th, their show. I missed last night's. Unfortunately, a friend of mine passed away. And it was kind of, it just the way it happened was bad. It was very quick. And my thoughts are with his family and everything. So I just wanted to make that mention. God bless you, pal. But yeah, I didn't get a chance to see it last night, but I am going to catch up with it. I think Joe and Kane are doing great things. I think they have a great synergy. So I'm looking forward to see how that show develops as well. And I was on, as always, I thanked them for having me on. We had a great discussion. That's one show that I'm very comfortable going on. So I'm sure I'll be on again. And I may be on one or two other shows too in the future, folks, and not shows that I've been on before. So again, it all has to do with my comfort level, and there's one or two creators, one that's out there and one that's coming out there that I'll be very comfortable going on. So we'll see how all that comes together. Stay tuned, everybody. Till next time.